Connecting, and here we go. We're live. Hi, I'm Lisa Fowler from Mount Macedon Realty, and I'd like to welcome you to a new series of Meet the Macedon Ranges. I know it's been a really tough time for many of us, some not being able to visit family, not being able to go to work, having to deal with the pleasures of homeschooling, and some people are suffering horrible illnesses. So my thoughts go to all of those who are struggling, and hopefully I can lift some spirits by introducing you to some of the incredible locals that live in the Macedon Ranges. Tonight I'm joined by Pam Ahern, who is the founder of Edgar's Mission, which is based in Lancefield. Welcome, Pam.
Hi, Lisa, and hello to everyone who's out there watching.
Yep. And okay, so we're going to jump straight in and say, Pam, could you tell us what is Edgar's Mission?
Edgar's Mission is a not-for-profit sanctuary for rescued farmed animals here in the beautiful Macedon Ranges in Lancefield.
Excellent. And what you gave up a career and an elite sport to start Edgar's Mission. What was your trigger?
Yeah, what was I thinking?
What were you thinking?
I didn't want to get to be 85 and think what if, really. I have been a lifelong animal lover, and the opportunity came in 2003 to rescue a tiny little piglet who I came to love and adore, and who I named Edgar Allan Pig. And having him in my world really did change absolutely everything. And so I'd always loved animals, but Edgar really took it to another level. And I had actually reached the pinnacle of my beloved sport, equestrian, which is a small child. I always wanted to ride horses, and I honestly thought that would be what I would be doing till the day I died. And then I realized with Edgar coming in my life, that was really just a dress rehearsal for where I was meant to be. And there's actually a wonderful quote that really sums it up perfectly. It goes, "I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I've ended up where I needed to be." And that really does sum up my life perfectly. That small animal loving child who just nagged and nagged and nagged her mum to get her a pony, and was told you can't. And my mother always said the worst thing you take to Pam is you can't. And it wasn't because I was a belligerent child or a naughty child. Actually, far from it. I was a really, really quiet and shy child. But I loved a challenge. I loved a challenge then, as I love a challenge now. That indefinable moment when you just say to yourself, what if? So told I couldn't have a pony, but went and got my scooter, took the wheels off my scooter, grabbed my mum's pantyhose and tied a tie to each end, and I made that into a saddle, and I rode the kitchen stool around the house for hours on end. And I think I gave my mum so much headache with all the noise I made and not having any pantyhose, so she took me down to the local pony club, and that's when my relationship with larger animals really began. We had dogs like most people did, and I got my dream for a pony and so much more. As you mentioned, I was very fortunate to become a very, very successful equestrian, winning all sorts of wonderful awards throughout the country, and winning the Gary Owen Trophy.
The Gary Owen, yeah.
Yeah, that was just an incredible dream for every little girl who ever threw a leg over a horse. I think that's what they want to do, and I was fortunate to win that twice. Although I must say that my most treasured memories of my horses aren't necessarily those awards that hung on the wall. I think those awards are the ones that hang on my heart, and that was just those relationships with those beautiful, beautiful animals who I had the privilege of sharing, so much of my world with, and they did take me places that only a young girl could ever dream of going. For me, 50 kilos dripping wet to sit on a 500 kilo animal and have this unity and passion and understanding was just incredible. And it really taught me so much, not only about animal behavior, but also about what I was capable of as an individual. I remember very early on in the piece, someone saying to me, "Pam, you're a nice girl, but you're never going to be a good horse rider because you're too short." And never stopped me from trying to actually be my best. I never ever set out to be the best. I always wanted to be my best, because my family weren't particularly well off and they weren't horses, so I never got really wonderful horses, and I had to train them all up. And actually, my most successful horses were ones that are cast off from the thoroughbred industry, who I had to train up myself. And that took a lot of time, getting to understand these horses and really to get in their head. And that beauty and that harmony did, I believe, eke out in the relationships that people saw in the ring and see me ride these beautiful animals. And they're just so majestic, and they really, ignited my passion for animals and wanting to make the world a better place for them. So in 2003, I was working with Animals Australia on the Save Babe campaign, and that was highlighting our flawed animal protection laws. You see, most people like me grew up taking great comfort that our society cared deeply about animals. We've enshrined it in legislation. It's the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. And great. But I didn't realise that when it comes to animals, we really have been guilty of playing favourites. We don't treat animals on how they feel. We treat animals on how they look, our relationship with them, what we intend to do with them, but not inherently who they are. And particularly pigs get a pretty raw deal. One of the things that I think makes our country so great is that the laws in this country reflect public thought. They don't drive it. So what that means, our laws can change. They're ever evolving when new information comes along, when better ways of thinking, when science informs what we're doing. We can change these laws to reflect this evolving nature of what we're doing, a bit like our ethical progress. And in 2003, the Code of Practice, which governs pig farming, which people don't know about, the Code of Practice was up for review. This was a golden opportunity to highlight what was happening to pigs and to try and get change happening by people actually coming on board and having a say in it. One of the things I'm adamant about with the work we do at Edgar's Mission is that we will not tell people what to do or what not to do. I've got no authority to do it. And I've got no guarantee that if I do, people will do it. But if it comes from your heart and you truly believe it, you will live it however difficult it is. So with Edgar, there was this opportunity for a photo shoot. Photo shoot went so incredibly well that we decided that Edgar needed somewhere to live, and that was where the sanctuary began.
Right, okay. And did you already own the land?
I did. It was very serendipitous because I was living in the country at the time, actually not too far from here, a stone's throw over to our east there in Willowmaven, just outside of Kilmore. I mean, what was I thinking, having an animal sanctuary in a town called Kilmore? But it was where I had my horses. I've lived there for about 20 years. And so just naturally, that's where we started the sanctuary. Yeah.
Beautiful. And how do you come to adopt the animals? How do you bring the animals to your farm?
That's really interesting because when I got Edgar, he was procured from a piggery. He would have been bacon. And I thought, gosh, I want to start this sanctuary for these restricted animals to come, but how are people going to know about me? And I had a dear friend who had a little sanctuary up in Murray Bateman in New South Wales, and he said to me, don't worry, Pam, once you put the shingle out, you're rescuing farm animals, they will come. And they have been coming and coming and coming ever since. Initially it was word of mouth that heard about us. Now we have a lot of media presence, particularly social media. We get contacted by councils and pounds to take the animals. Sometimes we have animals that have been seized through cruelty cases. Sometimes animals are surrendered. We're just coming out of winter. Winter is a time we get so many little orphan lambs come to us, and they're found by members of the public, sometimes even surrendered by farmers themselves who want a better life for these animals. So they come and they come and they keep coming.
They keep coming. Without being too gruesome, what sort of condition, I mean, the orphans obviously are just cold and hungry, but what sort of condition do you get some of the animals in? Are there cases of extreme cruelty, or do they go straight to the RSPCA?
It's more neglect, and this really highlights the tragedy for farm animals. You can keep sheep and cows out in the paddock, and there's really no compunction to actually check them every single day of the week. And when you're dealing with large numbers of animals, it's very easy to miss the ones that are really struggling. And remember, these are prey animals, so these animals are hardwired not to show that they're not feeling well because they're the ones that will be picked off. So these animals will struggle along until they can't. So, and that's the aided animals. Animals that are experiencing severe starvation and malnutrition is one that we get quite a lot, particularly with sheep. The winter that we've just come off again, it was a pretty brutal winter around here, and a lot of the ewes were coming in with pregnancy toxemia, worm burdens, and that was pretty hard to see when you see animals in this state, these sentient beings and struggling to hang on to life, just the will to live. It thrives in them just as it thrives in you and I. And it's really sad to see that these things are happening on our watch, right here, right now, on our watch. And as a result of our animal protection legislation that allows this to happen, if these were puppies or kittens, we would be horrified, the way that they're treated.
I was actually going to touch on that later, but it sort of segues in nicely. I think for me, the thing is for us to try to re-educate the public to look at farm animals the same way they do domestic animals. We spend billions and billions and billions on veterinary care and food and accessories for cats and dogs and birds, and nothing. It's nothing for the farm animal who has the same nervous system, feels the same pain, and needs the same attention.
It really is creating awareness. As I mentioned earlier, I don't believe it's in telling people what to do or what not to do. And I truly believe in the goodness of the human heart, despite everything that I've seen and everything that I've been through and the way that I've been treated. I truly believe that our hearts are good. Our hearts are good, but we have just become so disconnected between the choices we make and how they impact upon others. We've been conditioned this way. We didn't start out this way. We've inherited these values from previous generations, and we've never really actually thought about them. I always use the analogy that I used to barrack for Collingwood. And when I would go around the house, I go, "Come on the pies, come on the pies, come on the pies." And the reason I did that was because my dad barracked for Collingwood. Dads are cool. They know everything. And Dad barracked for Collingwood because his dad barracked for Collingwood. Yeah. It was an earned tradition. And then when I really thought about it, well, Collingwood's not that cool a team. Actually, I don't even like football. I would rather be grabbing my scooter, ripping the wheels off, riding my imaginary horse around the kitchen. But my foray into football is very symbolic of so many of the values and things, and even the foods we eat, that we've inherited and never really thought about. And when we do start to think about them, it can be very confronting. And sometimes people shut down because we don't want to see ourselves as bad people or committing cruel acts. And that's why it's very important the way that we deliver our message and encouraging people to think and develop their own sets of values without shaming people, without condemning people, without
absolutely,
saying, and meat is murder, because I think that just repels people and people shut down. And that's not going to help anyone.
And it's too confronting because, as you say, you can't reverse generations of stereotyping in one little demonstration. I remember as a kid, I was told, we did a lot of fishing, I was told that fish didn't, because I used to worry about the fish, and I was told that fish didn't have a nervous system. They don't feel pain. So I happily went on until obviously the penny dropped. But that's what we do to kids. And then you grow up with these desensitivities.
And I wish beyond wish that was true, that these animals didn't feel pain. And it makes us comfortable doing those things about them. And even our animal protection legislation, that we've separated the farmed animals off, all those animals who are farmed for food and fibre, apart from our domestic animals, on the basis of the way they look. And if you look at our morality and our ethical thought, how it has advanced through the ages, one of the determinants of that ethical progress is our ability to embrace those we once considered different from ourselves, whether it was the colour of the skin, the religion one followed, and even gender were used as a determinant for how others were treated. And now those barriers are starting to fall down. Hopefully they should be gone. That shouldn't even be on the table. And it was Chief Justice Michael Kirby of the High Court of Australia said a little while ago that our next great social justice movement will be the way that we are treating our animals. And I really think the money there, and that is society really starting to think about this. It's very uncomfortable for some people, particularly if their income is derived in doing these things to animals. It's very easy for you and I to go and make a different choice in the supermarket. But if your income and livelihood, and that's been your family tradition, has been doing these things to animals, it's very hard to walk away from that. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It certainly has been done, but it's a lot harder for someone doing that.
Sorry, a little technical glitch there. Are you back, Pam?
I'm back. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Let's push on. Pam, how do we help? Volunteering, donating. How can we as the public help grow and engage more people with Edgar's mission?
It's actually a great question. It's one of the things I think about, and I think we're probably one of the few organisations that actually really hopes for obsolescence, that the day that Edgar's mission is not needed.
Yeah,
but until then, we will be championing the cause for animals, and remembering that we humans are animals too, and we are all a part of the animal kingdom. It's one of the things that many of us have told ourselves, that we are apart from the animal kingdom. So it's okay to treat animals that way, and we treat people another way. But we are all part of the animal kingdom, and there's this interconnectedness. So it's actually, how can we create change? And obviously, financial support is paramount to us keeping going, because it helps pay our wages, pay food bills, pay veterinary costs, and advocacy campaigns. But there are other ways that people can help. Not everyone, particularly now with COVID, how it's impacted so many lives that, people's financial budgets have been greatly constrained. But even liking and sharing our posts on social media, getting your family and friends to start seeing these farmed animals as individuals who are no different from the beloved cats and dogs they have in their hearts and homes is a great way to do it. You mentioned volunteering. Volunteers are just so damn awesome. They give up their time and energy to come out here, rain, hail, or shine, and pick up poo. Now, that's pretty awesome, people that do that. We had some, I've just looked at our volunteers here today, and actually one of our chaps comes from Mount Macedon, and we call him Wednesday James, because every time he comes in, he goes, "Hello, everyone, it's James here." We all know it's Wednesday because he always comes on Wednesday. And just the relationships that we have with people and see how their hearts and minds have been open to farm animals. And it's really wonderful how they can have those experiences and they go away and share that with family and friends. So we have our regular volunteers who make a commitment for one day for a 6 month period. Not everyone can do that, but we have our Helping Hands days on Saturdays or Sundays. We have Helping Hands days, and that's a one-off opportunity. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we've had to suspend that, but hopefully we can get that up and running really, really soon. We have our tours. Hopefully they'll be up and running really, really soon. And then we have our beautiful tiny houses, and hopefully they'll be up and running really soon.
Where you can come and stay.
Pardon?
Where you can come and stay.
Yeah, the tiny house. We have 3 beautiful tiny houses, and they overlook some of the fields here. And you wake up of a morning and seeing that sheep just grazing outside your window. It's absolutely beautiful. You look towards Mount Macedon, and it's just a really, really lovely aspect. It's one of the most exciting things I think we've done at the sanctuary, and we've had so much interest in it, and it's just sitting on the back burner at the moment. So we're really looking forward to getting them up and running again. That would be
That's
really
amazing.
exciting.
So when you're running at full speed, how many people do you need?
Lots. There's always something to be done. We have about 20 staff, I think 25 staff actually now. And that's because we're a 7-day-a-week operation, and we're also afternoon shift as well, looking after the animals. It's pretty much a round-the-clock job. And then there's our volunteers in there as well. And there might be a contractor coming here doing some building work. So there's a lot of people that make this sanctuary happen, which is just absolutely blows my mind, because it just started as me and a pig, and it's just it grew and grew, literally like Edgar Allan Pig himself. The sanctuary's just grown.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any favourites?
I've been asked that question, and absolutely I have favourites. And when I'm asked that question, I say whoever I am standing next to is my favourite.
Very political. Very, very political. Now, Be Kind to Animals Week. Let's get on to that.
This is I love Be Kind to Animals Week. It started over 10 years ago, and it was an idea that just sort of, we have lots of these other weeks as recognition. Like, yes, you have to be kind to animals 365 days of the year. You don't get out of that one. But it's just a dedicated week to actually focus on what does it actually mean to be kind to animals? And people can actually start this conversation with family and friends, and we have little ribbons people can wear, and we've got T-shirts and some merchandise that go around that people can actually wear, start these conversations. We've got little a Facebook, what is it called, profile pic. When it comes to technology, I'm really good at looking after animals, but we've got these lovely little profile pics you can have there, and it just starts a conversation with people. What's this Be Kind to Animals Week? So you can jump on our Facebook page, and you can get those and download and get them all happening, and that starts a conversation there. And what is kindness? Like, what does it mean to be kindness? And when we actually start thinking about what does actually kindness mean, and the first thing about kindness is actually thinking about the other and how we treat the other. And I think that's really important, because sometimes we actually forget about that. And it also takes in people as well. When we think about kindness, and that's really, it's probably the only thing we want to be contagious today. And I think kindness is contagious, and science has backed this up as well. If you see someone doing a kind act, you are more likely to do a kind act yourself. And it's just one that flows on, and it feels good. One of the things on the tour when you come is there's a Weet-Bix, and you go to the sheep and you give them Weet-Bix treats, and it's so damn awesome. You're making another life happy because the sheep love the Weet-Bix treats, but you feel good because you've done something to make another happy. It just snowballs, and you walk away with the helper's high, and that is just so wonderful. And let's hope that kindness can actually flow on for those other days of the year beyond the 7 days of Be Kind to Animals Week. We've got the last couple of years we've actually really grown, and we've got a lovely lady who works works with Sophia, and Sophia's done so much in the space of actually, getting our kindness kits up and running with 21 actions you can do throughout Be Kind to Animals Week. You can sign up on the bekindtoanimalsweek.org.au, sign the kindness.
She's given me that.
Yeah, if we don't say that, we're going to be in trouble. So we better say that. Jump on there. Sign
And shout out to Sophia, who I've had, 2 very brief interactions with, but I already know she's the most efficient woman in the universe.
We only have the most efficient people work here, and that's we do have an incredible bunch of people working here. And I remember very early on when I started the sanctuary, and someone actually said to me, I was worried about how am I going to get people to do it. She says, "Don't worry, when you do good things, good people will gravitate towards you," and it is just so true. The most amazing bunch of people who are so committed to the work of Edgar's mission, and it's taken us to the world stage. We're getting inquiries, around the world about Be Kind to Animals Week. So that's really, really wonderful.
Yeah, and there's so much in what you're saying. You used a phrase I hadn't heard before. Was it helpers, heroes, helpers high? Yeah, there's so much research behind volunteering, what that does to your mental health. Not to mention the people you're actually, or people or animals or whatever you're directly helping. It's mentally good for you.
Absolutely.
So the volunteering is secondary.
And this is just really, and it is that snowball effect. And when we think, all the doom and gloom in the world, if we can actually bring, a little bit of kindness and a bit of cheer in the world, it helps you survive these difficult and challenging times, and seeing them in that positive framework. And we see that with the animals that, that come in here from the depths of despair, and we can heal their physical wounds, but it is their mental and the psychological scars that are a lot harder to heal, particularly with, the older animals that come, the little lammies who've never really known too much difference. And once we hear their memories are good, but animals who only interactions with humans have been harsh, we have to earn their trust, and that's a real trajectory to get that, and to help them heal in an environment where we have to hold them and restrain them and do things to them. And for a farm animal, being held or restrained in any way is one step away from being killed. So kindness really comes to the fore in our interactions with these animals, so we don't hurt or harm them. We're there to heal.
Do you ever rehouse them after they are healed and rejuvenated?
Great question. And we do. When I first started the sanctuary, I had all these wonderful notions that I was going to run it all myself. I was never going to take a donation. No one was going to have to help me. We're going to keep all the animals. We're all going to stay this lovely family, me and all these animals. And then I woke up. That's just not sustainable. We have, I think I counted this morning, it was 451 animals here at the sanctuary. Now, we've been going since 2003. We've rescued, I think it was over 5,000 animals have come through our sanctuary gates. Now, naturally, some of them will pass away through natural attrition, but couldn't possibly sustain that level of animals and give them the care that they need. And that is where the rehoming side of it was actually forced upon me, one bitter drought that I went through over in Kilmore when I was just doing it myself. And I just realized I cannot keep all these animals and give them the care that they need. And that was when the rehoming program started. And it's been really wonderful that the kindness goes out there, and we have many repeat offenders who people come back and adopt more animals from us or another species. And if an animal passes away, they will get another animal to join their family as well. And it's really lovely to see these wonderful homes we've been able to get these animals into, where they are cherished for who they are, not what they can produce. That's just so wonderful to know.
Exactly. Yep. I'm going to break and ask a few questions that we've got going on here. Alex is saying, who looks after your animals when you go on holidays?
I don't. I haven't really been on a holiday since I started the sanctuary, and I don't say that as a badge of honor. That's really naughty. I must actually start to be kind to myself. So, Alex, when I do go and have that holiday, watch this space. I'll tell you. One of the things I'm actually, and very mindful of on a serious side to that is that I'm not going to be here forever, and I do need to make sure that the sanctuary will go on in those very values that started the sanctuary, and instilling those values that the people that work and volunteer here in our committee of management as well, that actually understand those things. So I have this expression, if you get hit by a bus, make sure everything's covered, write it down, that people know what's going on, and actually the next generation of carers there, so that I can
succession planning.
Yeah, absolutely.
John Formosa has said that what a great segment, so much passion for animals. Yep, which is clearly evident in absolutely everything Pam and her team does. Maddie is saying her friend Sabina, when can we go with Chelsea? Maybe that's a little child.
Maybe
I'm
she
not
would
sure.
come and visit. Yeah, look, watch this space. We're just, really being guided by COVID restrictions when we can open up to the public, and it's a little bit challenging at the moment. We are hoping, I think, is it 26th of next month? They're looking at reviewing. So hopefully we'll.
26th of October, hopefully.
Mm,
But your
cool.
tiny houses would be able to fly under the radar to a certain extent in that they're so separate.
They
Like
are separate.
it's not a hotel.
Yeah, we're doing some works on them though to get them up and running. So that's holding us back
Okay.
on that.
All right. Zali commenting, great to see you're employing so many people, which is true. Again, another good reason for the Macedon Ranges.
And that absolutely blows me away, because when I was had my equestrian career, I loved horses so much, and I was just living my dream. And my dear dad, who inspired me so much to be a better version of myself all the time, he though wanted me to follow his path and be a businesswoman. But no, I want to ride horses. That's all he wanted to do. And damn it, he's got his way. I'm a businesswoman. I'm actually running a business here as well as trying to save the world. Sadly, my dad has passed on, but hopefully he's looking up down there on me, and he's happy with what I've been able to achieve.
Oh my gosh, he would be so proud of you. Clearly, your dedication. Not growing up. I think I'm probably older than you. I don't know, but I always remember Pam Ahern and the Gary Owen, because I was a pony clubber and a horse rider, and you were my absolute inspiration. But to get where you got without, from what you said, the financial backing is absolutely incredible, because it's such a terribly expensive sport.
It was, and that was one of the things I hope that I actually left a legacy to actually people, that you don't actually have to have the most expensive horse or the most expensive gear. The first horse I won my Gary on, I paid $2,500 for him, and I paid him off packing lollies in a lolly factory. And
Exactly.
the second horse I won my Gary on, he was for free. He was a cast off from the racing industry. My clothes were second hand. So you can do it. Just getting all the time. I think my best advice in anything you do in life is never set out to be the best, because only one person will be the best. You're setting yourself up to fail. To be your best, to be your best. Yeah. And look at where you're at, and always sometimes say, hey, this is enough. This is enough.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
Progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
Okay, Maddie saying, Lisa James, perfect for Saxon. You could imagine how happy you would be to stay there and see all the animals. Absolutely. Haydar, lovely gent living in the Macedon Ranges, says, inspiring work, Pam. Good on you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Tom Fowl, I don't know who that is. Love you, Mum. I'm sure your mother loves you too, Thomas. Maddie saying, love everything about Edgar's mission. And Zali, such great advice. Yeah. Yep. Just get in and have a go.
And just the love that's coming in there, that is something that sometimes it gives me goosebumps at how much love there is out there for Edgar's mission. Now, the messages that we get. Many years ago, we had a little goat called Frosty the snow goat, who was just the most dearest little buddy, and people fell in love with him. He was found in a forest, and his rescue story speaks to the goodness of the human heart, and it's in every rescue story we have here. Someone has seen an animal in trouble and realized what they choose to do next will determine whether that animal lived or died. And they saved Frosty. He came to us, but he had a condition where he couldn't walk, and we had a little wheelchair for him, and he got going, and Frosty passed away. And I remember writing his obituary, and I thought, oh gosh, people are going to be really upset because I failed them, and I wasn't able to save his life. But I thought, I need to let people know what happened. And just the love that came out of that, the people were so supportive, and no one judged me or no one condemned me. It was nothing I could have done to have saved him. Those things, but so much love that is out there, and I just think that is just wonderful. And I just can't thank all of you enough who send that love our way.
And look, that's another thing worth mentioning. A lot of people disregard trying to care for farm animals because there is so many, and they don't think they can make a difference. But you made a difference to Frosty and to Edgar the pig way back when, and so many others. So it's about making a difference to the individual, just one at a time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Now we're already out of time, and for Sophia, I am going to remind everyone to check out the website bekindtoanimalsweek.org.au, and make a kindness pledge, and get involved that way. And visit Edgar's mission website for details on how to visit the mission, volunteer, or donate, or all of the above.
Wonderful.
So
Thank you.
I would like to thank you, Pam, very much for your time, and just accolades for the amazing work that you do and the care and love that you show for our animals. And I would like to thank our audience for bothering to join in and join us tonight. And we hope you learnt a little bit more about some of the sensational people that we share the Macedon Ranges with. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you hopefully next Wednesday night. Pam, love and best wishes to you.
Thank you. Namaste,
Thank you for
everyone.
joining.
Bye.
Namaste. Bye.